Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday morning. I'm a few minutes before 8. I'm doing it a little bit early this morning because I have to be somewhere by 8:30. I'm actually live today from Hot Springs, Arkansas, my hometown, and my friend's condominium. So that's why it looks like a different backdrop today. I hope all of y'all had a wonderful Father's Day and a good time with your family. For those of y'all whom I've not met, my name is Kristen Kaufman, and you have joined Have a Seat with Kristen. I'm paying homage to my trilogy of books entitled Is This Seat Taken? And every Monday at 8 o'clock, we come together for just a few minutes to share tips and techniques and observations about life, about business, and really about the concept of alignment, which is the title of the name of my company, and really the primary focus of my work, my professional work, how to be aligned and how to stay aligned. And of course, my definition of alignment, for those of y'all who've not heard it, it's when you love what you do, you're good at it, but most importantly, it's tied to something greater than yourself. So today, I wanted to talk about the concept of listening. I think listening is probably one of the most underrated skills that leaders have, and frankly, people in general have. Most of the time, I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like people are just simply not listening to me. They might be nodding and sort of acting like they're listening, but they're actually preparing to say whatever it is that they want to say in response to whatever it is I'm saying. So I wanted to actually give 4 thoughts and tips on how we can become better listeners. And I truly do believe that it's probably one of the most important qualities of people, not to mention of leaders. In fact, when I was getting my master's certificate in leadership coaching, one of the primary things that we focused on was how to listen, and not just listening to words and the voice, but listen for the unspoken word, listen for the tone, the inflection, the choice of words, what we focus on. And by doing so, we get insights into where people are coming from, way beyond just the concept of what they're saying. So the first tip that I want to offer up is actually something I read about in Harvard Business Review a number of years ago. When you're listening to someone, take out a piece of paper or your journal, your notebook, and basically make 2 columns. And on the column on the left-hand side, write down the salient points that person is trying to share with you. And of course, this is really more relevant in a professional setting. You wouldn't do this in a personal setting necessarily, but in a professional setting, what are the salient points that they're trying to share with you? And then on the right-hand side, write down the key words that they use. The words that they choose is so important because it gives you something from which to ask more provocative questions. And I'm a huge believer, as most of my clients know, of asking provocative questions, as opposed to telling someone something, or if you're wanting someone to embrace something that you need for them to do or you want them to support. I always like to ask the provocative questions using the word what. So it's not enough, or it really is probably a little bit binary to ask people questions using the word why, because it conjures up like they need to defend why they're doing something. But if you ask the question what, it's a very generative question. It's a curiosity question, and people will definitely share with you what it is that they're thinking and what is driving them to whatever it is that they're talking about. So the provocative words that you're writing on that right-hand column would be marvelous stimulus, if you will, to use what questions. So for example, if someone used the word that they're scared or they're fearful, a question might be, what is it specifically that you're scared of? Or what could be the worst thing that could happen if you did X, Y, or Z? So that's tip number 1. Create a column on the left side, the salient points that someone is trying to share, and on the right-hand side, the specific words that they're choosing, and use that to stimulate provocative questions to really mine for gold in what it is that they're saying. The second point that I actually learned from a neighbor about 15 years ago. This neighbor has an absolutely miraculous way of aligning with people and letting people feel like you are indeed being heard. And the technique is pretty simple. She just parroted anything that I would say. And I don't mean in an annoying way, but if I said something like, wow, the sky is so blue, it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. She would say, you're right, the sky is so blue. I think it will be a beautiful day. So it's just an affirmation of parroting back what it is that someone is saying. So that's the second tip. And there are lots of ways that you can do that, but I definitely think that that parroting or echoing back what someone says is a way to assure them that they have indeed been heard and that you're listening to what they're saying. The third tip, this is pretty easy, but when you have a tendency or you have a thought that you want to interrupt, which my Lord have mercy, how many people are interrupted all the time? And I'm guilty of it too. I interrupt people not because I don't want to hear what they have to say, but because I'm so anxious to share something I have to say. And it's really somewhat disrespectful and really, quite frankly, rude. So the third tip is just simply take a pause, take a breath. When you are tempted to interrupt or to interject, or one of my pet peeves is when you're trying to tell something and someone knows the answer and they interrupt you and they tell what it is that you were trying to say. I have a person in my life that does that all the time. It makes me crazy. So again, when you have a tendency to want to do that, take a breath or take a sip of coffee. I've got my little coffee mug here. Take a sip of coffee or a sip of water and allow them to finish their statement. That will go so far in trying to build rapport and ensuring people that you are indeed listening. And the last tip actually comes from Stephen Covey. And I'm sure many of you all have heard this phrase, but seek first to understand. Seek first to understand. And that is simply, reserving judgment, reserving the tendency that you might want to interrupt or, stop them from sharing whatever it is that they have to say. Be in water. I use that phrase a lot with my clients. Be in water. Let the water flow over you. You don't fight it. Just be in it and seek to understand where that person's coming from. And I will tell you, from a leadership perspective, from building a rapport with people, creating a bond with friends, mentors, colleagues, listening is really the secret ingredients, because when people feel like they have indeed been heard, and whether you or not you agree with them, it matters not, that they've just been heard. It just means so much to that person. And it is the foundation on which we build that relationship. And from that relationship comes any type of leadership or persuasion or anything that we're trying to accomplish in business and oftentimes in life. So again, my name is Kristen Kaufman. You have just participated in our Monday mornings, Have a Seat with Kristen. If you've never joined before, welcome. And if you would like to hear more about it, all you have to do is comment below, and I'll make sure that you are notified when we do these. We do these every Monday morning at 8 o'clock. I don't know what I was thinking at 8 o'clock on a Monday morning, but nevertheless, they've been a great way to start the week. So with that, I hope you had a wonderful weekend again with your family. Have a wonderful day today, Monday, and a great week. And I'll look forward to seeing you here again next week at 8 o'clock with Have a Seat with Kristen. Make it a great day.